Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and build custom software solutions. So I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. All right, so let's dive straight in. So Amazon's recent announcement to enforce a strict 5 days a week return to office, or RTO policy, is gonna backfire, and here's why. And so we're going to dive into a lot of different thoughts around this, between some of the rising shifts from the pandemic, as well as some of the how I believe Amazon is handling this. We're going to go through a lot of your guys' comments. Again, as always, one of the best compliments you can give me is to leave comments. I love it, even if it's nothing more than just to say hi. And so we're going to dive into this topic today because this one really exploded. I think I got the most comments yesterday on my live, which makes me so excited. So we're going to dive into this topic today because this is one that I think everybody's got an opinion on, and I definitely have an opinion on. So let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to dive straight in here. So first off, again, talking about Amazon's recent announcement to enforce a strict 5-day-a-week return to office, or RTO policy. And here's why I think it's going to backfire. So let's dive in. First, this is a massive shift away from what we saw during the height of the pandemic. Amazon, like many companies, embraced remote work when it was necessary, but now it's pushing back in the opposite direction. So in a labor market as tight as it was in 2018 and 2019 or 2022, they would not have gotten away with this. They're taking advantage of the current labor conditions, and I don't think that leverage will last forever. Workers today, especially in tech, value flexibility, and trying to claw back this freedom is a dangerous game that Amazon's trying to play. So as we get into this here, I think that the 5-day RTO is outdated. I'm just going to say it. And there's been some people who've disagreed with me, and I love having a great, healthy discussion. I don't love if you just become attacking. That's just stupid. But I love having a great, healthy debate. This is something you can clearly debate. Clearly you can, because there's minds at Amazon, at the upper layers, who are like, yes, this is a good idea. I guarantee you this decision was not made in a vacuum. But I'm going to still give my opinion as to why I don't think it's a good idea. And so Andy Jassy has recently mandated employees to return to the office for 5 days a week. On the surface, it seems like it's a push for more productivity, and that's at least what his memo said. But really, this approach is outdated. Forcing employees into the office doesn't spark innovation. I believe it actually stifles it. Most workers are commuting only to sit at a desk and do the same exact work they would have done at home writing code. They're attending meetings via Teams instead of in boardrooms. They're exchanging the same emails. It's the same hamster wheel, just in a different cage. And at home, I don't know a lot of people who refer to their home as a cage. Now, there are some who are, during COVID, and I know for some people who are used to working in an office and prefer to work in an office, that's great. I'm a huge fan of, people who want to work in the office, go work in the office. But what we're finding is overwhelmingly, software developers prefer to work at home. And so I'm not saying, just the same way that I would get upset if, for a company who has an office to say, hey, we're not going to, we're going to push everybody to remote. It'd be kind of a similar draconian move here. And so instead of boosting morale, I feel like this is going to be a move backwards. I feel like the future is not in an office. It's in creating a work culture that thrives wherever people are. Now, look at Amazon, and you should know this by now. Innovation doesn't just happen because you're sitting next to somebody. If anything, today's remote tools make collaboration more efficient than ever. Slack, Zoom, Teams, whatever video platform you use, they all provide instant communication and real-time feedback. They also provide screen sharing, which I think for developers is actually more easy than looking over somebody's shoulder to watch code, right? If I'm wheeling over and hey, let's look at this together, and I got to get my glass, but if I'm at my desk, if we're on a remote call, they can share screens and we can even collaborate together. So I actually find that collaborating when coding is actually easier in a remote setting than via Teams than it is, sitting next to each other in the office. So, the innovation that Amazon claims to be after has nothing to do with whether you're in the same room. It has everything to do with building a culture of creativity and connection. And that can happen in a remote setting just as much as in an office. Now, hold on that thought. And I know there's a lot of people, trust me, in the comments are going to be like, you're wrong. Well, hang on. I do have some data to show you here. So, forcing people back in just to maintain an old school image of collaboration is missing the point, in my opinion. So, let's be real here. Amazon's only ability is only able to enforce this RTO because of the current labor market. In a hot job market like 2019 and 2022, there was no way they would have been able to pull this off. Today, they've got leverage. They've got more money. They have more people. They're Amazon of all people, right? They're the elephant. With more people vying for fewer roles, Amazon can flex its corporate muscles and say, come back to the office or find another job. But this is a short-term power play that could have long-term consequences. The minute the job market flips back, they will lose top talent faster than you can say prime shipping, right? Now, I think if you want to look at an example, to me, this feels very Intel-ish. And I'm going to let that sink in for just a second. I think this feels very Intel-ish. I think this feels like a very short-term move that's going to backfire. So let's jump over, because I said, like, I'm not the only one saying this. So let's jump over here and talk about some of these articles here. So what Amazon's strict return to office policy says about remote work. Amazon's hardcore move to push employees back into the office 5 days a week is a signal that, in the tech sector at least, employers have regained some leverage over workers. Now, to be fair, I'm just going to say this, developers are prima donnas. Like, we are. We're spoiled. We are a spoiled bunch. There is no doubt we are a spoiled bunch. So we're prima donnas. We like to work the way we like to work. We don't like being messed up. We're very creative, and that goes with being a developer. So I'm being critical of myself. Remember, like, I'm a developer 25 years here, so like I'm definitely speaking to myself. We are spoiled. But the labor market has weakened, and so the rank and file mostly don't want to be in the office full week, but in a loser labor market, their opinion matters less. And Amazon's showing that here, right? The tech sector has been going through a lot of layoffs over the past few years, so the power has definitely shifted back to Amazon, right? And these big corporations, they can get away with bullying the workers here. They're paying a ton, right? Amazon's one of the top payers for their roles, right? So, the big picture, Amazon might change things at the margin in the tech sector, but that does not mean that we're headed back to a fully in-office world. Academics and consultants who watch this trend closely say. So, monthly surveys of at least 5,000 U.S. adults conducted, So this is showing the work from home. So like definitely work from home has come back down, right? We've definitely seen this swing back down. Like obviously this was COVID, right? Everybody was working from home. So we've seen this settle back out. Now this is among all workforce, right? So, because again, this is Axios, this is not for software directly. So, now I agree with this. We are firmly in the hybrid area. I'm actually a pretty big fan of hybrid. So let me be very clear on this. I do believe there is some value for occasionally getting together. I don't think it can be mandated because you limit yourself to the circle of talent that you can have. But I do think that sometimes it's nice to get out and go to an office, right? Like I do like seeing people face to face. But a 5-day a week and saying that's going to strengthen your culture when that is dictated, I don't think is the way to do this. Now, again, they're Amazon. They can do what the heck they want. Let's go to this other one here. So Amazon's back to office crusade could backfire. These shifts cause you to lose a lot of people. I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they want to lose a lot of people. And so, like, Amazon's new return to office ultimately hasn't drawn the ire of employees threatening to jump ship. The mandate has also drawn scrutiny from future work experts who aren't sold on the benefit of the change here. Now, Dan said, I just joined in. Thanks, Dan, for your comment here. I enjoyed work from home, and I don't mind going back into work. What I don't like is mandates. Yes, I agree entirely. Have they not learned anything from COVID mandates? Because COVID mandates made everybody really happy, right, Dan? Thanks for that comment. That's super helpful. Yeah, I agree. Nobody likes a mandate. I like hybrid, and that's, I think, what Dan even highlighted. I enjoyed working from home, and I don't mind going back into work. So he doesn't mind. Great. Fantastic. Like, he may want to go in 5 days a week, but he might also, I'm going to assume here, because he enjoyed some work from home, he might really love a hybrid. I love to break up my week. Helps make me feel fresh and new, and I also position my work differently, right? If I'm working in a hybrid, I do set a lot of my meetings on the days that I'm in the office. And then I will set some like hardcore things that I just need to sit and grind out for those times at home because I'm less distracted. So thanks for those comments, Dan. Super helpful. So let's jump back here to my notes here. So going back to this, sorry, I get my notes back here. So let's be, so most workers today really want one thing. They want flexibility. And that's especially true for software developers and tech talent. We've seen all the surveys. Remote work boosts productivity, happiness, and job satisfaction. There is undeniable evidence that job satisfaction is raised with work from home. Now, I understand what he's trying to drive for is productivity. What he's saying is, I don't really care about the job satisfaction. I want productivity. I believe you can have both. I believe he's trying to trade the productivity for job satisfaction, and I think that's why he's trying to force developers. I think he's trying to force employees to quit. I think this is a very cheap way for Amazon to lay off a ton of people without having to pay severances. Forcing developers back into the office won't just hurt morale, it could cause a mass exodus. If Amazon continues down this path, it's going to alienate the very people who've been driving a lot of the innovation. Now, by the way, if your company, and you're listening to this, and your company have a bunch of systems that aren't connected, please hit us up here at startuphack.com/Spencer. We love helping companies in our software consulting to connect systems. And so we have great teams, and I can build even more teams as we grow because there's a lot of great developers out there looking for great work. So I would love to help organize that and help build your company's connected systems. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest complaints from workers back into the office is the commute. Sure, some people might enjoy that 30-minute podcast time, but most see it as wasted hours. Why should a developer who's perfectly productive from their home office have to spend 2 hours a day in traffic just to do the same exact work that you're going to do just at a different desk? Amazon push ignores the fact time is valuable. By forcing workers to commute, they're essentially stealing time that could be spent innovating or, living their lives. Now, let's flip back over to another article that I've got here. Okay, so Amazon wants staff back in the office 5 days a week. Your boss isn't likely to follow suit. And this is going on because it's kind of weird to me that Amazon going in this direction, says one hybrid work consultant. And they talk about this because Amazon is a $1.9 trillion company. If anybody can bully their employees around, it's Amazon, right? So for all Amazon Cloud, its plan likely won't motivate many other businesses to follow their own 5 day a week 5 day in-person work week, according to some work experts. The allure of some work from home flexibility is too strong, and the worker retention risks are too real for Monday's announcement to inspire many copycat companies, those experts said. So again, this feels like a very Intel-ish thing to do. The broader trend going forward is more remote work than less remote work, more flexibility rather than less flexibility. So I'm not alone in what I'm saying here, guys. Like, I'm not just talking out my ear here. So, this is a Stanford University economist, right? So like these guys are talking the same thing. And, they're trying to say that it's about better invent, but I just kind of wanted to point out that this is not just me. So this analysis, that's a big jump. Okay, let's see here. So a new survey of business leaders suggested a full 5 day week in office isn't disappearing. 8 in 10 U.S. CEOs told them that they envision their employees will be working in the office 5 days a week during the next 3 years. Now, that's a big jump from the firm's last check-in. The 79% CEO forecasts foreseeing a full return to the office, and the last finding from 34% earlier this year. So CEOs are starting to see this, and that's part of why I'm trying to be loud, is to help educate some people. Ongoing survey data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics indicate the share of workers who teleworked, or at least some of their job, increased slightly. So it increased from 2023 to 2024. The most recent BLS job report showed that 22.8% of people teleworked or more from home, up from 19%. So it's slightly ticked up. And that's, I think, the data we were seeing over here, right? I think this chart is, I think we saw just this slight tick up is what they're talking about here. But then I think this is also showing a trend back down. So it might be a little bit more recent. Now, the job market is getting tougher for workers. And so I think this is part of the reason. But I kind of also want to dive into this because this is Turing. They go through and there's a lot of different stuff. And I'm going to put all these links down in the comments down below. But the majority of software developers work from home, with 86% currently working entirely remote. That level of it really kind of shocked me. But working from home is a global trend in the United States. 4.7 million employees currently report. So I think this is a global number. I think this may be global. And I think that may be part of what's skewing this particular thing. But there was a couple of things I wanted to show you here. So can software engineers work from home? Ultimately, reality, yes. A software developer can do its job from home. And so working from home is here to stay. Companies that hire remote developers will have to accommodate a massive shift in attitude. I don't know. We'll see about that. I don't think that's it. But returning to work, they talk about this. There was okay here. Well, I think we all know the why. I don't think we need to go through the why. But the emergence of remote work, and this is really small. Let's see if I can blow this up here. No, I lost it now. Okay, so what this is saying is 86% of software developers are currently working remotely. A third of developers want to work in remote engineering job all the time. 84%, like you can see the staggering numbers here, right? This is really huge. And so this is Turing, which I believe is a workforce. And so, they know a bit, right? Like, and so this is, so according to Upwork, so, okay, this is kind of Upwork, which is a remote, a poll of hiring managers, 36 million American would work remotely by 2025, representing an 87% increase over the pre-pandemic levels. So what this is telling me is that a lot of people figured out during the pandemic, hey, I like this work from home thing. I want to do this. And that's what this is saying to me, is people have figured out that they can and do like to work from home. So now, rather than dragging people back into the office, Amazon and companies, and any company for that matter, should focus on building a more effective remote team. Communication is key, no doubt about it. It takes effort to stay connected in a remote environment, but it's not impossible. Encourage your team to reach out, to over-communicate if needed. And here's a tip. Turn on your camera while you're in a meeting. Just the same way as if you signed into this YouTube video and I wasn't on camera, how likely would you want to listen to me? And how much more of what I'm saying is by how I'm interacting and my face and hands and all that? Turn your camera on. It's a super simple move, but body language and facial expressions add a layer of communication that words alone can't. Also, seeing somebody's face creates connection. It's a proven fact. So Amazon should be careful. Software engineers prefer remote work, and Amazon's competitors, both big and small, are offering exactly that. Companies have tapped into global workforce of developers who want flexibility. If Amazon keeps insisting on this 5-day RTO, they're going to lose some of their best talent to competitors who offer more flexibility. So sure, there may be some allure to working for Amazon and getting that big title on your resume and those big fat paychecks and all the stock comp. But in the long run, freedom and autonomy, I believe, will win out. Now, I'm not saying everybody should be remote 100% of the time. Hybrid models work for a lot of people and a lot of companies, but I think Amazon's approach is too rigid. Flexibility is key to retaining top talent. A hybrid model gives people the best of both worlds: in-person collaboration when necessary and the freedom to work whenever there is not. Amazon's strict stance ignores the lessons learned over the past few years. Adaptability and flexibility are the future. Now, again, if your company needs some help connecting your systems, please reach out to us, starterpack.com/Spencer. And also make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And again, one of the best ways you can give a compliment to me is leaving a comment. I love getting comments. Helpful, constructive comments. I mean, you can call me names if you really want to, but if it makes you feel better, I've got pretty thick skin. So one of the biggest misconceptions about remote work is that people are slacking off. Trust me, if someone wants to slack off, they'll find a way, whether they're at home or in an office. Amazon's RTO isn't going to magically solve productivity issues. In fact, studies have shown that remote workers are often more productive. Why? There are fewer distractions and more control over their environment. So Amazon's RTO could backfire in more ways than one. Now, the RTO mandate isn't just about productivity. It's about morale and culture, too. Amazon risks damaging both. Forcing workers back into the office sends a message: we don't trust you to work remotely. That's a tough pill to swallow if you want to be treated like an adult, especially for high-performing teams. If you want a culture of innovation, you need to show trust and foster autonomy, not micromanage people's physical location. Now, Amazon has been at the forefront of innovation for a long time, but in my opinion, over the last 5 years, I believe their innovation has started to struggle. Do you want an example of this? Alexa was one of the leaders in AI 5 to 7 years ago, and now they're getting their butt kicked. So this move could show this, and I think this move could cause them to continue to lose that edge. I think it's a misguided attempt at trying to build innovation. While other tech companies are leaning into remote work and hybrid models, Amazon is doubling down on outdated systems and processes. This could alienate the very workers they need to stay competitive. So the job market might be tough right now, but it won't stay tough forever. And when it turns, Amazon might find itself scrambling to keep up. So here's the thing. I think the future of work is flexibility, remote work, hybrid models, flexible schedules. I believe that's where we're heading. And I think if Amazon doesn't adapt, they're going to end up where Intel, IBM, and a lot of these other behemoths who have stayed so strict on a lot of those policies and yet have struggled to stay caught up on innovation. You can mandate the RTO for now, but eventually top talent will look for companies that give them the freedom they crave. The companies that adapt to this new reality will thrive, and ones that don't, I think, will suffer. Now, I wanted to also go through some of the comments from yesterday because some were super insightful, some were funny, and I just kind of wanted to take a minute and run through some of these. So, any job that can be done remotely cheaper by someone in another country, remote work is up against a global workforce market. You can dislike that all you want, but it's fact. Well, here was my response. I understand the argument, but it's invalid in a lot of ways. One of the first ways is R&D tax credit. These large corporations write off a ton of dev work. You can't do that with remote. Also, time zone differences is another huge one. Now, again, I use a ton of remote work for overseas workforce, but I always have a ratio of U.S. to offshore, and I pull them in and bring them as part of a team. So this one here, it's classic. If you can be here 3 days a week, then you can be here 5 days a week. I watched this happen long before COVID. What is more likely to happen? People will come in for 8 hours of the day, then tune out and work the rest work the rest of the week. As a work from home software dev, I work 24/7. My boss can call me anytime. My computer is always on. I'm bored by TV and other distractions. My wife hates this about me. I fall asleep during almost any movie we watch, but perk up when working on code. Of course, when I was driving to work, things were reversed because I need to give myself downtime after the commute. And hey, a movie or short weekend trip was needed to decompress after all the road rage I faced during the week stuck in the commute. I couldn't agree with this more. And I think there's a lot of people who feel the same way. It's hilarious. I work at a Fortune 100 company, and it showed we didn't lose any productivity during COVID when most worked from home. But they went for a 60% office policy because it saved a lot in building and office costs. It hilariously shows how useless a lot of managers were. This RTO has nothing to do with collaboration in the workspace. The city of Seattle is facing a major budget deficit this year. This may be the way to show the door to folks to cut costs. This is also to force people into downtown to buy lunch and go to happy hours to help revitalize the city. Again, not to help with collaboration in the workspace. The problem is that many of the workers live in the surrounding cities. They can't afford to live downtown. Honestly, Seattle isn't the same place it used to be. People don't want to go there because it's literally a dumpster fire. It's not safe, crime, drugs, etc. So this guy goes on to talk about how, like, Seattle, how he feels a lot of this is to actually try to help revitalize and with cooperation with the mayor of Seattle. This guy, productivity went way up when COVID hit, and my company, when they sent everybody to work from home. It's just the reality on Amazon CEO won't last. Unless you get paid $300K plus, every self-respecting IT professional should quit Amazon. I don't think I've actually responded to that one, so I'm going to hit this and say, agreed. But again, because Amazon's paying so much, most people won't, right? That's where they've got these golden handcuffs on people. So lots of comments. I appreciate the comments. The best compliment you can give me is to leave a comment down in my code. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding, software coding boot camps. Also, we love to build custom software solutions for folks who need it in their businesses. So make sure you reach out at startuphack.com or startuphack.com/Spencer, and we will catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.